Okay then, peeps. So, it's currently 10 PM in the evening. I have just got back from the workshop where I work on my cars. If you're wondering about the black on my hands, when you see it in a bit, it is Tiger Seal. It doesn't come off. Anyway, I've got back. I'm all buzzing. I am definitely not ready for bed. So, I thought I'd give you a look inside the box. Now, I wanted to do this anyway, but tonight seems to be the night that I want to be doing it. So we have removed the big box itself. Now, you get a second side panel window, just like you did with the smaller ones that they did, which basically means you get tempered glass, which is a really nice touch. So you get mesh and tempered glass in the same box. Now, so spinning it over so that the bottom is downwards. Downwards! Right, so I asked them to send me the grey one. Now, it's not a gunmetal grey, it is like a dark battleship grey. The reason why I asked for this is because grey's quite funky and in-trend colour for inside your house. I actually think it's a little bit too dark. I think they could have gone a bit lighter with it. But the reason why I wanted to do a box opening was to show you how it comes and so you can see everything that's going on inside. Because now, with the magic spinny doofer what's it, we can have a look and I can stand on the other side and we're all going to be good. So, frontward, forwards, popping the side open, there is mesh down the side. Now remember, we're just doing it so we can have a look inside the box because there is an awful lot in here. And the reason why there is an awful lot in here is it's almost a bare bones. You kind of add your graphics card and your motherboard, and then the rest is in here because it does come with a cooler in the roof. It comes with a power supply, cooler, power supply. Yeah, that's it. Cooler and a power supply in the case. But pulling all of the foamy panels out, throwing them to the side, going to move both of these, and then I just need to remember how to get the roof off without breaking it. And I think I managed it. I did. Okay, so the roof is exactly the same as the other one, apart from we have a dark grey strip. You can see there's mesh. But now we have, it's actually a 280mm cooler in the roof. I didn't realise that. I honestly thought it was going to be, oh actually I need to leave you up top because I can put it on its side. Apologies. So it's all very fluid. It's almost like a live stream. Anyway, as you can see, there's a 280mm AIO in the roof. It's pre-routed. There is an SFX power supply in it as well. Now, I can't remember what SFX power supply wattage it is, so I'm going to have a look on the box. Because like I said, I was not prepared for this. Water cooling power supply, SFX, it is 850 watts. So it's got an 850 watt power supply in it. Now, the cables are actually braided as well, which is a really, really nice touch. And if I do that, you'll be able to see. So the cables are braided, nice. You've got all of the rest of the cabling in there for your PCI Express 3 and all of that sort of stuff. Now, the front panel does come off just like the other one as well. This gives you a better kind of idea on the grey. It is battleship grey, but a smidge darker. And then I think really in reality, the only thing that you're going to want to do is put some fans in the bottom maybe to help keep your graphics card up. So effectively what they've done compared to the old one is they've jacked the roof up a bit so that you can get an AIO in, hence the Max. But rather than selling it as an empty case, they've bundled it with all the rest of their stuff. So you literally just grab it, fit your motherboard, fit your graphics card. Obviously you're going to need memory, all of that sort of stuff. Everything that goes on the motherboard, basically, other than the cooling, and you're away. I actually really like it. Couple of solid-state drive mounts in the front, just like the other one. It's a really nice touch. Now, we obviously need to see some hardware in this, but as I've said, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I wanted to get this bit done, so it makes my day easier tomorrow. So, you'll see me back, and we'll see how much of the Tiger Seal I managed to scrub off in the shower, because this stuff just does not come off. U-Pole Tiger Seal. Now, I'm not sponsored, but any of you car guys out there, oh, my days. So looking on to the fully built case, and the first thing to do really is to pop the side off, and I'll show you what it looks like with the tempered glass. We will also talk about the performance in a minute. There we go. So there's your tempered glass. It is, I will say, very dark, sadly, and I wish they hadn't done it. Admittedly, if you put lights in it, although you've got to find places to put the wires, it would look a bit better. I just wish they hadn't gone for such a hardcore tint. Now, I understand why they've done it, and that's because of the bezel around the outside. I just wish, I mean, I have still got the plastic on the outside because, well, if I'm honest, I forgot to pull it off. I always leave it on there right till the last minute because of fingerprints. But in reality, like I said, I just wish it had have been a little less tinted. Round the back, one thing I will say is there is very little stroke no cable routing. Would have been nice to have had a little cutout at the top. Now there is a slight fold in the metal, which for an engineer you'll understand that it's there to give us some rigidity. You can see it down the side. You can see it, there we go. It's just at the top here. Sticks out a few millimeters, but like I said, I wish there was a little cutout in it, just so that if you did need to poke any cables up from like around the back, there was a nicer, cleaner way of doing it. Because in reality, we haven't really got many options. And where it is so compact, it would have just helped. I ended up putting some cables, oh, come on, up through the front, which is actually a nice place. I've got some B-roll where when I used a different graphics card, I did actually shove a lot of the cabling up in this front section because there's a nice big cutout. So it actually makes a lot of sense, and I know you didn't see any of that. So I put a lot of the cables up the front because that just made sense for me. There's a lot of room around here. It's extra room to stash stuff so that you're a bit clearer on the business side. Now, lighting is a bit of an issue because it's so dark in there, but also it's so very small. Now you can put some lighting along here to light up your graphics card if you want, and that's going to look nice with the window. One of the things I did find though is that the placement down on the bottom where the graphics card sits, where the riser cable is, in reality they needed to add 2 or 3 mil for extra clearance, because the graphics card on the riser cable, no matter what graphics card you use, you have to force the top of the case down when you put the case together. So you end up dropping your graphics card in as normal. I would suggest that you put the PCI Express cables on first, put it in, and then because of the panel on the bottom comes off completely, you put that on last, and then you kind of have to push on the top to be able to get the screw to line up because the graphics card and the riser cable is interfering with it on the bottom. So that's just a little build tip from me. Graphics card in, leave the bottom off, fit your riser cable, and then once the riser cable's on, then mount the actual bottom panel, and you get a little bit more leverage with it. You can't really see anything in there, but it is a small and compact case, and at the end of the day you have got a big cooler in there, and you can, as you can see here, fit massive graphics cards. When you fit a Founders Edition 3070 in there, compared to the tough 3070 Ti, sorry, they're both 3070 Ti's, you can see the size difference, and the 3070 Founders, 3070 Ti Founders, does look lost in the case. So I would suggest a big meaty graphics card is definitely going to look better if you're going to use a side panel window. If you're just going to go for the mesh, you've not really got much else to worry about. Very simple to click and use. I can't help but think that if I was to be speccing a colour on this and I was thinking to myself, I want a grey case, I would have gone slightly lighter. This feels a bit of a dark or even dirty grey, and I think it's kind of missing the point of where we may have wanted to have gone with a grey case in the first place. Okay, so on to the testing, and I have done the testing, so you don't have to, because I have tested both with the door on and the door off, so mesh and glass, but also with and without the lower fans. And I had some Noctua 120 mils in the bottom. It's the black ones that they do, but not the 3000 RPM ones. But anyway, so I put them in. Now you'll see in the graphs that I've run them at 1000 RPM and 1400 RPM. That was actually matched with the AIO fans as well. Effectively what I did is I had the AIO fans on this board, which is a 590i. Yes, I said 590. Asus haven't sent me the 690 yet because they just haven't got enough samples, because whatever. Anyway, so I had the CPU cooler fans on the CPU header, and then I had the bottom fans on the AIO fan header. But what I did is I manually set them to 1000 RPM fixed and 1400 RPM fixed. Also, fixed RPMs were done on the graphics card. I set it to 60%. Now the reason why I did this is because then, if the graphics card fan speed doesn't change, when the case sides or fan speeds, or with or without fans change, then that's the only thing that's going to affect the actual GPU temps. If I'd left the GPU on auto like you would at home, then basically the GPU fan RPM would have changed instead. And that is how you would do it at home, but I have to try and fix it and make things difficult for it so that we have some kind of scientific way for us to be able to get some results to show what a different configurations in the case makes. So 1000 RPM mesh, didn't matter whether there was case fans in the bottom or not. When you go up to 1000 RPM glass, this is where you can see that things have got a bit toasty. And that is because, like I said, I fixed the GPU fan speeds. Normally it hit 80 degrees and then the fans would start ramping up at least that late. Normally with the Founders Edition it would anyway. But then when you move on to the 1400 RPMs, and you can see there's still a good step down by adding the fans in the bottom, which is definitely a positive note. I would personally say if you're going to put a glass panel on the side rather than the mesh, then you're definitely going to want to be adding the fans in the bottom. Make sure you get some decent ones as well, because it's not just going to be about loads and loads of fan RPM. You actually want them to move a decent amount of air to help keep things cool. The other thing I would kind of say is, because of the restriction with the AIO in the top, I'd probably advise a slightly faster fan in the top rather than the bottom, because that's obviously got to push through all the grills and everything. Yes, I know the bottom has to push through the past the graphics card and the cables and stuff, but you get the kind of idea where I'm going. I'd also most definitely say go custom fan curve rather than fix like I did, so that they go quieter when they're not needed, and then they have a nice ramp up when things do get toasty. It would have been nice if I could have linked certain things like the lower fan speed to graphics card temps and the like, because the top being on CPU temps is definitely the better way forward. Anyway, fans in the bottom, good idea. But it does make things a little bit more difficult with assembling the case again afterwards, like I have said. But I do like the case. The only thing I don't like about it, in reality, is the thing that I thought I would love the most. Because when Coolermaster said to me about there was a grey option, I was like, amazing, we've finally got a grey case. I just don't think they've got the right grey case. I think they could have gone a little bit lighter so it stood out a little bit more. A bit like the grey in my room. I think it's just a bit brown and dirty. Kind of, yeah, I think they've missed a really great opportunity with the colour choice. But one of the things I do need to say in their defence is colour is obviously something that's very personal. So that's my thoughts on it. I'm not forcing that upon you at home. Despite that, a lot of ability to get a big system in. You can get Z690 ITX boards. You can get big graphics cards in there. There's more than enough cooling in the roof to keep the CPUs happy. I hadn't said that I was running a 10th gen i9 and I hadn't seen temps go above 70 degrees even when I was locking them into that 1000 RPM. Now I only did run games on it. That's the thing I do have to stress. I didn't do anything like Blender or like Cinebench or anything like that that's very CPU specific, because at the end of the day I'm reviewing the case as a whole and I didn't want to break it down too much, because I did loads of testing as it was, because I did get a bit confused about certain things, and I did go back and I tested multiple graphics cards just to make sure that we weren't having any issues with length and stuff, and like the pressure in the bottom and the fans. But anyway, it's a cracking little case. There are other colour options which I'm kind of happy about, but the fact that you do get almost like a bare bone system with a cooler and your power supply built in, so that you can just put your ITX board and your graphics card and your memory and stuff in, does actually make life really easy. And because my alarm's going off now, I'm going to sign off rather quick, because it will drive me nuts just as much as it will you. Oh. So, with the ultimate professional Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you. There's my in-depth review of the NR200 Max, and for now this is the tiniest one out, because the oven's ready and its dinner's ready.